Hey guys, for those of you that don't know me, I have been a Challenger player since set 3, and in this video I'll be giving you a concise explanation on how to play patch 14.2 if you want to climb. So in the current patch, I think that the distribution between the AD and AP power level is a lot better compared to the old patch. The old patch, it was primarily dominated by like TF, Karthus, but in this patch, I think that AD is a lot more playable because you usually default towards Ezreal, and Ezreal usually wins out like a lot of your lobbies because of Heartsteel. I think if you have AP items, you should default towards like Karthus, Akali, Viego if like you have like a lot of HP or money. I would say like this is more of like a high roll comp because you need to hit like a lot of units. But if you have a spat, you should definitely play towards the Pentakill tree because Pentakill +1 on Akali is really good and has a really high cap. I think if you're broke, you generally want to play towards KDA instead just because the board is a lot cheaper. But it stabilizes just as hard at level 8. It's just that it has a lower cap than the Pentakill variant. So if you're playing the KDA variant, you usually primary the carry and you dual carry either Akali, Zed, or Viego. I'll get into these variations later. And if you hit like a random TF or Blitzcrank, you could play into TF, but I think TF is like a bit weaker this patch compared to these two comps. I think if you have AD items, there are like a few ways to play. I think the best way is to default towards playing Heartsteel. So I would so there's two ways to play Heartsteel. I think if you get Heartsteel early and you have like a shit board, you could like get your first cash out, but you don't cash it out. You just raise the stakes and then you go for a Giga cash out. You start the game at level 8 with like 30 HP, but you'll have like a lot more resources than everyone else. You try to stabilize and then you go 9 and you play to win out. I think the other way to play Heartsteel is like you just play like maybe you get 3 Heartsteel early and you have a strong board. You just cash out the Heartsteel, keep winning, and then at level 8 you roll for Ezreal and try to get in 5 Heartsteel with 80 HP. I would say like at stage 4, if you have over 40 or 50, if you have like over 60 HP, you try to play 5 Heartsteel and get a Giga cash out, and then you try to push level, go 9, and then try to win out. I think that's the way to play. And if you're not playing Heartsteel, there's like a few reroll comps that are good this patch. Reroll Jinx. If you get like Jinx chosen early, get a lot of Vi's. Reroll Executioner, Reroll Country. You can only play Reroll Country, I think, if you have high HP because you need to hit like a lot of 3-star units. But I think if you're low rolling and you're playing AD and you have no other outs, you just play into Yone Riven and play for like a 5th if you hit. That's pretty much it. I updated the comps list and updated the augments a bit. Update the headliners, and I'm also streaming by the time this video is posted, so feel free to drop by and ask if you have any questions. And I also have another YouTube channel where I go through my VODs and explain my thought process, so feel free to check me out there as well. And without further ado, let's jump right into the comps. Okay, so let's first talk a bit about the AD tree. So for the AD tree, you really want to be playing into Heartsteel because the primary strength of the AD tree is the amount of resources that Heartsteel gives you. I would say like the core 5 units you really want to play at level 8 are going to be the 3 Heartsteel units, Zed for 2 Crowd Diver, and Zac for 2 Bruiser. This also gives you 2 EDM, and then this gives you a secondary carry and a very good tank. Best in slot Ezreal is going to be blue buff, red buff IE, and then Zed just holds all your remaining Bruiser-ish items. The other 3 units really don't matter too much. So like for example, if you hit Heartsteel Ezreal, you probably want to play like this duo, and then you just play another Heartsteel for 5 Heartsteel, and you go 9. If you hit Big Shot Ezreal, probably don't need this MF. You just play like more tanks and then like play other Heartsteel units as well. But game plan for this is like generally because you're playing like Heartsteel, you're usually going to be like 30 or 40 HP. You're going to be a lot more resources up on the opponents, so you just want to slight roll at like 4-1 or 4-2, hit a stable board, and then still be able to go 9 on 5-2, and then you'll be able to sort of out tempo the lobby because you're like one level up on the whole lobby the entire game. So the other variation, I would say like the weaker variation, is like if you play around Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn is like really weak this patch, infinitely weaker than like the Zed variation, but this is still like a variation you could play. But game plan is still the same. You stabilize at 8, and then once you stabilize at 8, you go 9. You usually try to cap around Lucian. So if you try to cap around Lucian, your board is usually going to look something like this. Again, like it depends on like the chosen you hit. Let's say like you're not playing around the Zed, then maybe like you want to play a board like this. Or if you are playing around the Zed, you just drop Bard, drop Aphelios, and you play Yone Zed instead. This gives you 2 Crowd Diver and maintains the 3 Heartsteel. But you just put all of your leftover items on your Lucian. If you hit Lucian 2, it's pretty much GG's. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the AP tree. So if you're playing the AP tree and you're not that rich and you're just playing for top 4, the Ahri comp is a really good comp to play into Even though it doesn't really have a high cap, it stabilizes extremely hard at level 8 and is really good for farming forts from really shit spots. So there are 4 different variations to the Ahri board. I'll go through each one. Variation 1 is you're just playing 7 KDA with Akali as dual carry. Best in slot Ahri is blue buff Nashor's Gunblade, and then Akali really likes 1 anti-heal, and then she likes Hodge +1. Usually third item is something like an IE or something. Variation 2 is if you're dual carrying the Zed. If you're dual carrying the Zed, you usually want to play Evelynn for 2 Crowd Diver, and this is going to be your level 8 board. You could alternatively, like if you find Crowd Diver Zed, you could drop out of 5 KDA and then play like a random Yone or Kiana or something. Kiana's preferred because it also gives you 2 true damage and 4 Crowd Diver, and then this board is really strong as well. Variation 3 is if you're playing around the Viego. If you're playing around the Viego, you drop down to 3 KDA and you usually play around 4 Superfan instead. And yeah, you just dual carry the Viego. Hopefully, you can only do this if you have Edgelord, by the way, because if you're playing Viego secondary carry without Edgelord, he's kind of useless. So you just play Kale for Pentakill, and then you just play Gnar, and then you have 4 Superfan in. Variation 4 is the really standard 6 Sentinel Ahri. You're actually just dual carrying the Blitz and the Ahri, and then you stack all of your items on your Blitz. And then this is a very strong contender for top 4 as well. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the Pentakill board. The Pentakill board is the AP board you want to play if you have a lot of HP, because it's a bit more high roll because it requires you to sort of hit like Viego, Karthus, and Akali. You're still playing around 3 Superfan. The only difference is you're dropping Cannon for Gnar because it gives you access to Pentakill. So there's 2 main variations you can play. I think the stronger version at level 8 is if you get Edgelord Viego. If you get Edgelord Viego, it allows you to fit everything. You get 3 Superfan in, 5 Pentakill. You dual carry the Viego 2 and the Karthus 2. And if you hit Akali 2, you can itemize her as well. For this comp, you really do need like a lot of items. So like one indicator to play into Pentakill is like if you get Buried Treasures, or if you're playing the Galaxy, that gives you 2 components instead of 1 on Carousel. I think the weaker variation at level 8 is if you get Pentakill +1. The reason why it's weaker is because you're unable to get 3 Edgelord for Viego without playing the Yone. So usually your board might look something like this. I guess like you end up dropping like Mordekaiser for like a third Edgelord. That way your Viego could actually do something. But more often than not, usually a lot of times you're just playing around 6 Pentakill, and then at level 7 you just fit in the 7th one. This comp has a really high cap because if you get a Pentakill spat +1, you could actually put it on Akali. And then this just gives you 7 Pentakill at level 8, and then you just go 9 for a third Edgelord, and it's really, really good. Itemization-wise, Viego just likes all your typical AD, Bruiser-ish items. Akali really likes Hodge, IE. She likes red buff as well. And then Karthus really likes AP items. Mana items are really good on him as well. So an Archangel's is just fine. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the reroll comps. One reroll comp that popped up this patch is Reroll Jinx. This is not the Twin Terror variation, but this is one comp you definitely want to hard force if you get the Punk augment. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Extended Play. Usually you want to play into this comp if you get like a Jinx chosen, you have AD items, and you already have like a lot of Jinxes. I think like if you're in that spot, the headliner trait itself doesn't matter. Like if you already have like 7 Jinxes, Rapid Fire Jinx, Punk Jinx, doesn't matter. But I guess like you should be aware of the 2 different variations you want to play. So if you get Rapid Fire Jinx, this is going to be the level 8 board you want to play. Like after you hit all your 3 stars, you're playing around 4 Guardian. And if you get Punk Jinx instead, then usually you want to play like a board like this, and you need to play a second Rapid Fire. I think the 4 Guardian variation with Rapid Fire Jinx is more consistent because you don't have to play Aphelios. But the Punk one has a higher cap because if you're playing like one of those Galaxies that gives you a spat, the spat is really good because it lets you hit 6 Punk. Or if you get like a random Punk spat from Carousel, it also makes your comp really, really strong. So best in slot Jinx is just going to be Runan's Last Whisper and Guinsoo's. I think if you have Even Try, you don't need the Last Whisper. But the game plan for this comp is very similar to like all the level 4 reroll comps. You just econ up. I think for Punk, you could actually just play a strong board. And then at level 4, 8 out of 10 EXP, you roll down to 33 gold. And then you naturally level to 5. And then you just slow roll above 50 gold every turn. Use 1 gold per turn for the free Punk reroll. For this comp, Jinx 3 is a unit that really matters. Vi 3 doesn't matter too much. But I think Pantheon 3 matters. So you slow roll at level 5 for Jinx 3. Pantheon 3, and then you push levels, and then I would say like when you're level 7, you slow roll for Mumu, Twitch, and Vex, and then after you hit those, you go 8 and play Thresh. And then for the other variation, pretty similar. You're just rolling for Jinx, Vi, Again, Vi doesn't matter. It's really going to be Jinx and Pantheon. And then because you're playing, you could also like secondary carry the Twitch. If you get a 3-star Twitch, just put all your remaining AD items on him. And then once you 3-star all of these units, you just push levels. And then this is going to be your level 7 board. I think if you don't hit Punk +1, you're just dropping this Vi. So then like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is your level 6 board if you don't hit the Vi. If you hit the Vi, you just play random Vi. It's fine. Alright, so let's run through all of the 3-cost reroll comps. All the 3-cost reroll comps are mainly going to be AD comps. These are all comps you play if you're not playing around Ezreal. First one is going to be Country Samira. So this is a reroll comp that I would only play if you're playing like tempo, you saved a lot of HP, and you have like a lot of resources to roll with. The reason why is because you need to hit 3-star Samira, 1 3-star tank, and either 3-star Urgot and 3-star Vex to win out. The difference between this comp and Reroll Riven and Yone is that this one needs to hit 3 units, whereas those only need 1 unit to stabilize. So game plan is you just go 7 and you roll for this exact board. You want to itemize primary the Samira and secondary the Urgot and the Vex. Samira really likes IE, GS, Last Whisper. If you already have Even Trail, you probably don't need Last Whisper. You just go like a second IE or something. Vex holds all your AP items, mana items. She's also really good at holding Morello. If you have red buff, you probably don't need Morello. If you have 3-star Urgot, chances are you want to itemize the Urgot instead of the Vex. And then depending on who you 3-star first, or who you're closer to 3-starring, you itemize that specific tank. If you have Country +1, you probably drop like Vex or Mumu to play 7 Country, and you play like a Katarina. That is a stronger board at level 7, and then once you hit 3-star Samira, Urgot, whatever, you could go 8 and then play the Mumu or the Vex. The other variation, or not variation, but the other reroll comp is going to be Twin Terror Vex. So this comp is still really good if you get Twin Terror. The augment's still busted. Basically, if you get it at 2-1, you just want to play strongest until stage 3-2 or 3-5, depending on how rich you are. And then you keep rolling for, well, you roll for like a Twitch chosen or a Vex chosen to stabilize. But if you don't get Executioner chosen, you want to pivot to like an Executioner chosen later. So like, for example, like let's say at 3-2, you roll down and you get like Punk Twitch. Chances are you usually just take the Twitch. You might have another Twitch and that's stable until like 4-1. You open sell the Punk Twitch and then roll for Executioner Twitch or Executioner Vex. I would say that like depending on which chosen you hit, like if you get Executioner Twitch, you still roll at 6 for Twitch 3 and then go 7. Or if you get Executioner Vex, you just go straight to 7 and then still roll for Vex 3 and Mumu 3. Itemization wise, Twitch really likes like any crit and AD items. So GS, Scarbreaker, Hodge, Deathblade is good, IE is good. Vex likes Morello, Adaptive, Pure AP, JG is fine as well. And then Mumu really likes Gargoyles plus any random tank items. This is how I usually like to position. Mumu just solo front lines. And then you want to place all your carries in the middle so they can just burst down the tanks. Another reroll comp you can play is going to be Yone. So if you're playing Reroll Yone, this is a great comp to reroll from if you're playing from behind because you only need to hit Yone 3 to stabilize. I think Yone is a bit weaker in the current patch, but still playable from the right spots. The one you really want is going to be Crowd Diver, and this is the exact board you want to play at level 7. Itemization wise, Yone really likes IE Hodge +1. The +1 could be Titans, it could be BT, or sorry, not BT, it could be Edge of Night. There are some other different variations you could play. For example, like not variations, but variations of items. So you go Deathblade, BT, Titans. That's fine as well. Like I think like generally you just want like 1 healing and like 2 damage. So like for example, the healing here is going to be Hodge, and the 2 damage is going to be IE and Titans. Depending on who you 2-star first, like if you 2-star Viego or 2-star Zed, you secondary carry that unit. There are times where you don't hit the Crowd Diver Zed. So like for example, if you hit Heartsteel Yone instead, you just play 3 Heartsteel. Instead of 4 Crowd Diver, you just drop a Crowd Diver like Katarina. If you hit Edgelord, then you probably want to play 5 Edgelord instead. You drop Katarina for another Edgelord. The final reroll comp is going to be Riven. So the variation to Riven is going to be this exact board instead. The 4-bit variation is way stronger and also has a higher cap because at level 8, you have the potential of hitting a 4-bit or 8-bit spat, and you just play Corki for 6 8-bit, which gives Riven a lot more damage. Itemization wise, Riven really needs QSS, otherwise she can't do shit. Best in slot is going to be QSS, GS, and BT. Another variation you can play is QSS, IE, and Hodge instead. Again, this comp really needs Even Shroud, and if you're playing this board, you really want to put all your remaining items under Caitlyn. She's going to be your secondary carry in this comp. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Reroll Riven. This is another comp you can play from behind because the only unit that really matters is your Riven. Oh, and I guess like if you really want to cap out your board later, You drop Aphelios for Lucian, and then you just play a second Jazz unit, and then you just get a lot more HP and damage on your entire team. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for the 14.2 Flex Guide. If you guys enjoyed this video, as usual, would really appreciate it if you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Twitch. Again, I have another YouTube channel where I explain my actual games and thought process and how I play. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check that channel out as well, and I will see you guys next time.